For this section, we're going to start talking about similar figures. And similar figures are figures that have the same shape, but they're not necessarily the same size. So if you look at our two figures that we have drawn below, this figure is actually a lot smaller than this figure, but they have the exact same type of shape. And the way that I note if something is similar is I can say that the polygon ABDC is similar to the polygon EFHG. And what makes a similar figure is when they have corresponding parts and they are also congruent. When talking about similar figures, we also have something that's called similar or corresponding parts. And corresponding parts are when we have similar figures and their angles and sides are in the same positions. So if you look, I have this angle A right here is corresponding to angle E. So that's where these two figures have angles and sides that are in the same position. So what I can say is that angle A corresponds to angle E. Angle B then corresponds to angle F. Angle D corresponds to angle H. And angle C corresponds to angle G. And the same goes for when I have sides. So side AB is corresponding to side EF. BC is corresponding to FG side. CD corresponds to GH. And DA corresponds to HE. Congruent, however, means that I have the exact same measure. So when I have two figures, and I'm going to just draw two triangles. So we'll call this triangle ABC, and we'll call this triangle XYZ. So when I have congruent angles, angle A and angle X are both congruent. And to write congruent, I'm going to say that angle A is congruent with angle X. So it's an equal sign with a little squiggly on top. And then I can say angle B is congruent to angle Y. And angle C is congruent to angle Z. And each of these, when I draw these parenthesis type in those corners, the ones that match up are the ones that are congruent. So this only has one, and this one has one. And so not only are those corresponding angles, but they are also congruent. For this example, we have two similar triangles, and I need to solve for this x. And I know that all of these sides are congruent with each other, so they have the same length. So I can use a proportion to help solve for x. And to do that, I can say, well, for my first triangle, if I have 6 over 4, I can set that equal to x over 12 because they have a similar proportion with them. If I decide to put this first side on top as my numerator, then I need to put its corresponding side also on top. And the corresponding side to BC is EF. So that's why x is on top. And when I solve this, I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to get that 4x equals 72. And when I solve for x, 72 divided by 4 equals 18. So I'm going to get 18 centimeters is the side for EF. For this example, we still need to solve for x, so I'm going to set up our proportion again. So I'm going to start with my first figure that I have right here, and I'm going to have 5 over x and then using corresponding parts, I need to have 30 on top over 24. When I cross multiply, 24 times 5 equals 120 equals 30x. And when I divide by 30 on both sides, I'm going to get that x equals 4 centimeters. So my length right here is going to be 4 centimeters. Go ahead and pause the video, and I want you to try this one on your own. So the first thing that we need to do is we're going to set up our proportion because I'm trying to find what W is. And I have that I am going to put 10 over 7. So I used its corresponding side here, so I'm going to have to use the corresponding side on top. So I'm going to get that 140 equals 7W. And when I divide by 7 on both sides, I get that 20 inches equals W. A rectangular blue tile has a length of 4.5 inches and a width of 6.75 inches. A similar red tile has the length of 12.75 inches. What is the width of the red tile? I'm still going to follow the same strategy that I have been using. I'm going to set up a proportion. So I have that the length of the blue tile is 4.25 over 6.75. And I need to figure out where to put 12.75. And if it's length, and I already put length on top here, then I'm going to put 12.75, and I'm going to try to find its width. So 12.75 times 6.75 equals 86.06 equals 4.25W. I'm going to divide by 4.25 on both sides. And so the W is going to equal 20.25 inches.